let's move on to the next game from that, Phil, and actually I want to deal with both Champions League games together in a sense, although we'll look at how the timings of the way they fall as a separate thing. But Atletico at home and Galatasaray away. I'm not saying there's a learning from last season that we don't necessarily have to take these games in the Swiss system as seriously, but I do think there's something that occurs to me looking at this run of games where there's 4 league games and the 2 in the Champions League and the League Cup. I'm looking at those 4 league games and I'm going, they are so much more important than these 2 Champions League games because of the margin for error, and also because we now realise to a degree from last season that margin for error is maybe that touch greater than I think we perceived at the beginning of the process last season.
I'm just not sure I completely agree on this.
When you take 4 points in the Champions League now for those first 2 games?
Well, I'd take 4 points, but one of them is Atletico Madrid, one of the best teams in Spain. The other one's a really tough tie at Galatasaray side. That's just on the face of it. But ultimately, I don't really want the 8th game in that Champions League group stage to be a serious game of football. Like it wasn't last year. And we go to Bournemouth. We play Bournemouth away 3 days later, and we're in a really good position where we can go at Bournemouth, who are a very good team. Because most of the players have had the week off and haven't had to go to PSV. Yeah. Like that is a thing that helps. It might not. We were very unlucky with the way the league table fell, and I think if we draw that game, we don't play PSG. I think it's something. I think we would. I think if we'd have drawn that, we would have actually played PSV again, which is a bit of a.
We do expend a hell of a lot of energy though in the first 6 games.
But we also. Arguably. But do we not win? Do really well in the league as well though.
Well, so is it? Honest talked about this payoff where we flag in the period around the League Cup final and PSG that there was a price to pay.
Is that not because they end up moving Aston Villa and Everton into midweeks that are supposed to be empty though? That's why I think that happened.
Sure, the performance level.
No, I don't disagree with that.
Where I'm with Phil's point here is, let's say you don't come in the first 8 just for a second, you'd have 2 big games in February anyway,
and you'd have played the 8th game at 100 miles an hour.
And you played the 8th game at 100 miles an hour. I think what happened last season, I think 2 things happen. One is Liverpool get to February and realise they can win this fucking league, and they win it in February, and so all their efforts and all their energy and all the focus goes into that.
Like think of Szoboszlai City, for example, where he's done.
He's spent on the pitch. They absolutely go all in on that. That shouldn't happen this year. Liverpool might only play 3 league games in February, and if they get knocked out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round and they're not in a Carabao Cup final, then it genuinely could just be 3 games. That's all they play in February. Yeah. At which point the season paces itself differently. I'm not with Phil. I think Liverpool. Listen, you want to talk about how you get through the Swiss system. The way you get through it is that you win at least 3 of your homes, i.e. against teams in pot 2, 3 and 4, and you win 2 of your aways, i.e. against teams in pot 3 and 4, and that's how you get through the Swiss system. That gets you 15 points, and if you win 4 of your homes and you win that, that's 18 points. Well, no, but I mean, you then just get a draw somewhere, 16, but you get a couple of draws somewhere. My point is, you've got to watch your target to get 5 wins, but you need to beat your pot 3 and 4 team. Away from home.
4 wins does it more
no,
or less?
5 wins. What's your target to get 5 wins? Sorry, it's when you beat your pot 3 and 4 team away from home and beat your pot 2, 3 and 4 team if you want 5 wins at home, and then whatever happens in the others is what happens. These are 2 games, and what you don't want to be doing is coming out, to your point, you can't borrow from Peter to pay Paul. If you win your first 2 and you've got a couple of injuries coming in October and you need to maybe rotate, that's when you bite the bullet of, we don't need to win every game. It's a lot easier to live in a universe of we don't need to win every game if you've got 6 out of 6 or 9 out of 9 on the board. That's when you get to go, you know what, let's not worry too much about Real Madrid at home.
I think the way the fixtures have fallen in the Champions League as well make it a little bit tricky. Like 2 of them we won't really discuss today, but they are Frankfurt and Real Madrid. So if we don't get off to a good start against Atletico and Galatasaray, they look hard games then.
It's also quite annoying that the pot 4 home game is game 8.
Exactly.
That's quite
annoying. The way it's fell, I just puts you under a little bit of pressure if you don't get off to a good start against Atletico on Wednesday. Galatasaray all of a sudden feels really, really big. You've got to go there and get something. So I take your point, Rob, but I just think the manager might not see it quite like that, and I think he'll just be thinking, no, Atletico is really, really important, boys, and we go out and we look to win.
Well, just let's digress on, not digress, stay with the Champions League for a bit. Just thinking about the thing, if we say 16 does it for top 8, you could, and your point about Carabao being last game. Now, no one wants it to go to the last game, but we have, lots of teams do. You could almost go, if we had 13 points going into game 8, that would be no disaster at all, because you'd be overwhelmed. You'd be 90% favourites to beat Carabao at home.
You would,
so that's
but it also means I've got to watch Liverpool lose games of football, Rob.
What?
Which I've got no real interest in.
No. I'm just saying. Oh dear, that's annoying.
I think even that though. I think it was 16 last season. It could just be 17 this season, and then
it could be 14.
It could be 14.
You don't know.
We don't know how everyone else is going to respond and where it's going to end up. I think if you to do what you want to do, the best way to do what you want to do is to win your first 3. And then you can look at game 4 or game 5 or game 6 and go, you know what, that one that just comes in December there, which one, you'll know what it is off the top of your head.
Inter Milan away.
Inter Milan away. You get to look at Inter Milan away and say, you know what, we're going to go weaker in the San Siro than people might expect because we've got a couple of injuries mounting up and we're going to take a chance.
You can lose that game anyway.
And you can lose it anyway, but we're on 5 out of 5, so that one's all right. And then we'll judge, we're on 4 and draw so far, and then we've got that one as game 6, and we judge that accordingly. For me, I think what you want, I'm not against.
Well, there's a word we haven't used yet, which is rotation, which is what I want.
Exactly, but I'm not against the theory of what you want anyway. You know, in terms of being able to maybe judge it a little bit more. But the best way you do that is with points in the bank. And the first 2, you don't give the 2, that home game against pot 2 team, away game against pot 4 team, and I think we've been slightly stitched by the draw with the away game against pot 4 team, don't get me wrong, but you roll with that and you take 6 points, and off the back of that you're able to say, right, bring us our pot 3 team, bring us, and go from there.
I hope you're enjoying this free show at the moment. Loads of excellent, exciting stuff on the Anfield app. If you want to be part of the whole thing, you can download the Anfield app and go from there. Or you can subscribe via the YouTube membership as well for video-only content and other bits and pieces. We love doing these shows. We love that you watch them. So come, be part of the journey with us.